Good afternoon everybody, welcome back to this little mini series where we are going to be looking at all 20 Premier League clubs for next season, what they're going to do in the transfer market, and today we're back with my team, as you can see from behind there, Villa top there, Onana, love to see it. Yeah, of course, it's Aston Villa, what we need to do in this summer transfer window to really bolster the squad, keep ourselves competitive, but not only that, also meet PSR regulations. Let's get into it. So welcome into what is the best club in the entire world. Obviously I'm joking, I love them, but other people out there not so much, and we did get diddled by the referee in that last game against Manchester United. Yes, we was terrible, we didn't really deserve anything, but we should have had a 1-0 lead, something to cling on to, and then we would have been in the Champions League, and then maybe we wouldn't have found ourselves in this difficult situation where we've kind of got to balance our books now, sell some players, get some money back into the football club. So yeah, diddled by the referee, and then we're going to get absolutely shafted by the PSR rules as well. But it is what it is. We can't do much about it now. You know, there's no point in crying over spilled milk. But like I said, with Villa, we'll be at the end of the season now, and there's going to be some big, well, potentially some big names to leave the football club. Of course, Disasi isn't going to be here. Asensio, Rashford, they're all going to be going back to their parent clubs. But we've also got some big players out on loan. Coutinho, his contract is ending. Bear in mind, he's on a lot of money every single week. They're paying him, well, £135,000 a week. Not ideal. Thank you, Steven Gerrard. So we will be able to move on Coutinho. Buendia, they should get a nice fee for. Samuel Illing Jr., Dendonka, Barrenetxea, he's been on loan at Valencia. He's had a fantastic season from what I'm hearing from people on the internet and all that fancy stuff. Moreno and Nedeljkovic probably going to leave the club, and I'm going to go over some of the transfers that I think Villa should do, who they should move out the football club, because there's many a name on here, and I said we are going to use the editor to move these players on, but I'm going to do it as realistic as physically possible and put the sort of fee that I think they'd get in this market now. But there are some big marquee names here. Martinez, did he play his last game for Villa against Manchester United at Old Trafford? Maybe. There's been interest for Amadou Onana from Saudi Arabia. Ramsey, who's come through the youth team. Could we sell him for 100% profit and, you know, really help us meet the PSR rules? I reckon you're looking at about 40-50 million pounds. I'm hearing that Newcastle's still interested in the player of that quality. But yeah, there's a lot of players that are going to have to leave the club. And it's gonna, you know, one door closes, another one opens. We've still got the likes of Daniel Malen. Maybe Rodgers might get sold. I hope to God, and for dear life we don't. It may be the end for Leon Bailey. So we've got plenty to look at, plenty to talk about. But let's get these outgoings gone first. I'll tell you who's left the club, who's gone for what fee, and it'll see what we've got left in the kitty, ready to splash the cash and hopefully keep Villa competitive in the new upcoming season. I'll see you shortly. So we are back first of all with the outgoing. So straight away, all the loan deals have now been ended. Disasi, Rashford, Asensio, and obviously the players we had out on loan, they've all come back. And this is what we have done so far. So Robin Olsen did leave on a free transfer anyway, going to Malmo. That's been done. Martinez, I think, has played his last game for Aston Villa, as sad as it is to say. Dibu, it's been a pleasure. The World Cup winner, the world #1, moving over to Saudi Arabia for £60 million to Al Nassr. So that's going to really free up some money for Aston Villa to play with. Courtney Hawes, he's literally been forgotten about the football club. He's gone out to Derby County for £1 million. Cash, a lot of Villa fans, how do we put it nicely now? They want him out of the club. They say he's a liability, and it's just, I agree. He's had some good moments, but I think the negatives outweigh the positives, so we've moved him on. Juve were interested on the game, so we've cashed in for £20 million. That's a sort of going rate I think you'd get for the Polish international. The next player is Alex Moreno, obviously formerly of Real Betis. Was at Villa, then we've loaned him out to Forest. He's had a good season, well, a decent season for them. But I think he is going to return back to Spain. So drawing last Palmas for £8 million. It'd be a slight loss than what Villa paid for him. The next player is Enzo Barrenetxea. Was on loan at Valencia on the season just gone. He's been really, really good for them, and I think they're probably going to make it into a permanent. So Villa cashing in, getting £10 million. That's £10 million pure profit, because they got in part of the of a swap deal, including someone else, I think like Ealing Jr. as well, and a bit of cash for Douglas Luiz. Leon Bailey also meant to be leaving the football club. I think his time now is done, going over to Saudi Arabia. There are links, they're going to offer him a lot of money, so £26 million for Leon Bailey to Al Hilal. Then Doncat was out on loan at Anderlecht, I believe it was, the season just gone, and he's returning to Belgium again. They're going to KRC again, just for a very, very small fee of £1 million. The next player is Costa Nedeljkovic. Now, people used to rave about him, saying we've got one of the future best right backs in the world. He looks a little bit lost, and I think his time as a Villa player is done. He was on loan at Leipzig for last season. He's done okay for them, featured a few times. Hopefully, I reckon they probably will make it a permanent deal, and I think Villa will just about get their money back on Costa Nedeljkovic. The last two players to leave the football club, Jacob Ramsey, I think this will be done. Like I've said, to meet PSR rules, £40 million for an academy player. Newcastle have been interested last season. They're interested again now. And he's always on the periphery at Villa. Never really starts week in, week out. And I just feel like his time's done. It's a fresh start for him. He's really going to help us meet, like I said, our PSR regulations. So £40 million to Newcastle. That's the sort of figure I'm hearing, £40-50 million. We'll have to see if that happens. Maybe Unai might sell someone else and keep Ramsey. I just don't know. And the last player, Emiliano Buendia. Decent season at Bayer Leverkusen last year, and they're going to make it a permanent for £20 million. But now, look at the squad. It's really thin. I was still thinking Ollie Watkins originally on the Arsenal video I'd done was going to go to Arsenal, but it looks like they're bidding for Benjamin Sesko at the moment, so it looks like Ollie Watkins will more than likely potentially be staying at Villa. But you never know, anything could happen in a transfer window. It could all change in real life. Sesko could reject Arsenal, and Ollie Watkins could be their next choice. So the team very, very thin on the ground if they are to make most of these transfers. So they're definitely going to need two goalkeepers, with Olsen and Martinez both leaving. They've only got Joe Gauchi, who's not particularly great. The left backs, Dean and Maatsen, I think will both retain at the football club, and I think they're good rotational options. Dean will get a few games, Maatsen will get a few games. In the centre-half position, they've got Konza, Torres, Mings I think will still be around, but they've also got Yazin Ozcan, who was on loan last season at Kasenpasa, coming back. He's meant to be pretty good, so we may well see a little bit more of him next year. But I think Villa, a couple of goalkeepers definitely, maybe another centre-back. They're definitely 100% going to need to get in a right-back. They've still got Andreas Garcia. He's young, he's learning. I still think he'll be kept around at the football club, and he's going to offer a bit of backup to whoever our new wing-back right will be. Centre midfield, we still got a little bit of cover in there. We've still got, so we'll start with Tielemans, Onana and Kamara in the middle of the park. You've got the options of John McGinn. You've still got Ross Barkley on contract for another season. So I think maybe even another centre midfielder. But where Villa now are really starting to look a little bit weak in the wide areas. So with Rodgers there, but obviously letting go the likes of Buendia, Leon Bailey, there's definitely room there to improve. We've got no Asensio, there's no Rashford to put out wide. We're definitely going to be looking at a couple of wingers as well. It's going to be a very, very busy transfer window indeed, if this is to anything to go by. So yeah, definitely cover on the left and the right side. And up front, if Watkins hangs around, there's going to be a bit of a fight for the position between him and Donyell Mann as well. And I forgot to mention as well, Ealing Jr. as well can play on the wings, and I think he was decent at Middlesbrough last year, so it's definitely an option for him and a potential that he may keep him around. So we'll have to see exactly how they got on in the transfer window. But let's not forget, in the Villa youth team, they've had some really, really good players, and they managed to go on to win the Youth Cup as well, which I thought was nice. You may well see a few of these players actually break through into the first team. The likes of Sil Swinkles, a centre-back, Lamar Bogard, who he did feature a little bit early on in the season with our injury problems. He may still be kept around. So keep an eye on some of these, but I think there's a lot of work to do at Aston Villa Football Club. They're going to have to try and balance the books after not getting Champions League football. But we've got, how much we've got? with all them players being sold, there's going to be a lot of money to spend to try and bolster this squad. But once again, there's a lot of positions that really need to be filled, and we need to have good rotational options, but also you need that strength in depth. But anyway, I'm going to get off now, go do a bit of scouting. I'm going to come back with the most realistic transfer window for Aston Villa. So we are back with the completed transfers. We've already spoken about the outs. We know how much money there is to spend, but what we can see straight away on the screen, which really stands out, is the difference there in the figures. We've managed to, near enough, make it £100 million in profit, which should, hopefully, help Villa reach their PSR regulations, so we don't breach any of that. We don't want to get fined and docked any points. So yes, starting off with the ins, Yasin Özcan. He was at Villa last year, but he was loaned back to Kasımpaşa. He's now at the football club. Good young Turkish player, and I think he will get a little bit of game time next season, try and build his match experience, try and build his confidence, but I think we'll see him in and around the Villa team next year. With Olsen and Martinez both leaving the club, there's definitely two goalkeepers needed, and we have bought in Lucas Chevalier, coming in from Lille, £28 million. He is linked to Villa, also Manchester United as well. We'll have to keep an eye out, but this is the guy I want to see come in. I watched him on TV in the Conference League when Villa played them a couple of seasons ago, and he was absolute magic. Put on a real masterclass for the whole world to see. But I think he's going to be our new number one if we can get him in. And then the Espanyol number 2, another good young goalkeeper in Joan Garcia. He has got a release clause. I think it's around 12 to 15 million pounds, but I think he's going to come in and we'll kind of have these two goalkeepers rotating. Maybe Chevalier as the league keeper and then Joan Garcia as the cup goalkeeper. We'll have to have a look at what happens in the future, but we're definitely going to see in real life one of these coming into the football club, but I think both would be ideal. The two signings there costing, 43 million, and that's still, we've got profit left on top with Martinez. He's sold for about 60 million, but I think Villa could potentially get a little bit more, maybe around the 70-80 million pound mark for the world's number one in Dibbo. But anyway, that's the goalkeeper sorted. In the wing-back right position, Matty Cash has been moved on. Nadalkovic has moved on as well, so there's definitely a couple of options needed in the team. And it's going to be Cole Walker-Peters, offers pace, power, a good, solid player. Had a bit of a torrid time at Southampton when they got relegated, but he is one of their standout players. Can play at the left back. Obviously, his main position is right back, and I think Villa would be able to pick him up from Southampton for around £20 million. Now they are relegated. And the second right back to come in is Juan Foyth. Emery is a big fan of Foyth, and he's had eyes on him now for a couple of seasons, and I think he's going to get the deal done now. He did go from Tottenham to Villarreal for 13, and I think Villa will pick him up for around the 15 to 20 million pounds mark. Can play at centre half, can also play in a defensive midfielder position as well, but a really, really solid player, and he's one of Emery's favourites, so I think we are going to make a real effort to sign Foyth this season. The next player, offering a little bit more cover in the middle of the park, and it's Matteo Guendouzi, another one of Unai Emery's favourite players. He's been chasing him as well for a couple of seasons, hasn't quite been able to get it over the line. It was on loan to Lazio last year, and I really think this is going to be a move we are going to put everything into. He's solid, he's aggressive, plays with passion, and Emery wants him, so hopefully in real life we can get that deal over the line. The last two players are Antoine Semenyo and Bournemouth, £30 million deal. But what we have to say, Semenyo has been absolute electric for Bournemouth. I've watched him throughout the season, and once he gets the ball to his feet and he's driving at players, running at the opposition, he's very, very hard to dispossess. And I think with Villa being light in the wide areas, I think this is a deal they're going to look at. He brings quality, he's got Premier League experience, had a great season at Bournemouth, and I think we'll be able to fetch him for in around the region of about £30 million, and with Bailey going out for the same sort of price potentially to Saudi Arabia, a very, very solid replacement to bring into the team. So can we see Semenyo joining Villa over the next few weeks and months before the season starts? And the final player we are going to look at now is someone we are currently scouting in real life, in Emmanuel Omega. I think that's how it's pronounced, from Strasbourg. Solid player, 6'5", so he's a bit of a man mountain, puts himself around, definitely a threat in the box. So the 20-year-old Dutch player he's definitely one to keep an eye on in the future. He's going to end up being the Dutch national team and smashing goals home for fun. Like I said, Strasbourg got him for £11.25 million. He's had a decent season this year in France for Strasbourg. And I think, once again, Villa will be able to pick him up for about 25 to 30 million. But then we are pretty much sorted then in the striker departments. If we look at the team now on the tactics, that's how potentially Aston Villa could line up for next season. If you look at all the positions on the field now, Chevalier has got covering Garcia. You've got Dean and Matson. You've got Torres, Konza, Mings. You've got Foyth. You've got Ozcan as well, who potentially could step in. At wing back right, there is 3 options in Foyth, Walker Peters and Andreas Garcia, but he may well still get loaned out, Andreas Garcia. We'll have to see how the transfer window pans out. In the centre midfield, plenty of depth in there again. Guendouzi, Foyth can step in. You've got McGinn to come into the fold as well. And the wingers in the ward area, you've got Marlon, you've got Rogers, you've got McGinn that can go out there, Semenyo. So there's definitely options there. But in the striker department, we expect, as Arsenal now are trailing Benjamin Sesko, maybe Watkins potentially will stay at Villa for another season where he's going to get game time and hopefully gain some of his confidence back. But we have still got options in up front of Watkins, Emmanuel Omega, and even an option of Daniel Marlon going up top as well. So we've got a real nice mix there of players. Watkins can do some of the holding the ball up. We've got Omega where we can play long balls up to him, look to flick it onto somebody, or you've got Daniel Marlon where you can thread it between the lines, put it on the deck and get him to run onto it with all his speed. But that transfer window for Villa, it's a lot of profit in the bank, which I said will meet the PSR regulations. But for me, look at that squad on there. I'm going to say it potentially looks better than what we had last season. I do love Asensio, but like I said, these loan players, they're going to want to play Champions League football, and we just can't offer them that this time around. Yes, we're in the Europa League, but we have to move. It's constantly like, you have to be in a constant fluid, what's that word now, a fluid position as a football club. You don't know where you're going to end up at the end of the season. Villa have clearly had a plan for, if we get the Champions League, we're going to buy these and we're going to sell these. And if we get into the Europa League, we're going to buy these and sell these. You've got to have options as football clubs, and I think this transfer window is big for Aston Villa in real life. But if they can do anything like this, get a lot of profit into the football club, but then have a starting 11 of that ilk, that quality, it could well be a very, very successful season for Aston Villa, and they will find themselves challenging, hopefully, fingers crossed, for the top 5 again, Champions League football, and maybe once again we could just dare to dream of bringing home a trophy. It's been a hell of a long time. What I would give to win a League Cup like Newcastle, an FA Cup, just absolutely anything. Villa fans, we're all desperate for silverware. Can this new Villa team deliver it in real life? I can't see why not. So Villa fans, I'm going to say that would be an absolutely mint successful transfer window. Plenty of money coming back into the club, and we've still got quality in the first 11 and plenty of depth on the bench as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. We've got a lot to look forward to. Let's keep building. Villa fans, once again, if you've got any comments, let me know down below. Who do you potentially wouldn't have bought, or who you maybe would have sold that I haven't? Like I said, this is all based on what I think the club should do. Don't be afraid. Let me know your thoughts as well. Of course, we are going to carry this mini-series on until we get through all 20 Premier League teams. There's going to be some fun, but make sure you've got about 6 hours spare for the Manchester United one, because that club definitely needs open heart surgery. But until next time, guys, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you later. Bosh!